Hey everyone, it's Sean and Kenny. In this episode, we are presenting our interviews from day 3 of the FMCA convention. We had some amazing conversations with Don from the REV Group and Robert of Henderson's Line-Up and Supersteer. The REV Group is showcasing their latest and greatest RVs, and Henderson's is discussing improving the drivability of your RV. This is one episode you don't want to miss, so let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the third day of the FMCA rally. We are joined with Don from the REV Group, and we're going to jump right into this conversation here. And want to just ask Don, can you introduce yourself and tell us what your role at REV is?
Thanks, guys. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for letting me join you. I am the marketing manager for our Class A products. So that would be American Coach, Fleetwood RV, and Holiday Rambler. And a little bit of, 30,000 foot level. REV Group, I would call like the parent company or the big umbrella over our brands. Our brands consist of, as I mentioned, our Class A products, American Coach, Fleetwood RV, Holiday Rambler. Then our sister companies, Renegade RV, built some really great Super Cs and some Class C products. Midwest Automotive Designs, a lot of people don't understand that falls under the REV Group umbrella. They built some phenomenal Class B products. And then we also have a sister brand, Lance Campers, out here on the West Coast in California, to build some great travel trailers and truck campers. So that's kind of in a nutshell, the REV Group RV umbrella.
You guys are busy.
Oh yeah, yeah, we stay busy. So.
And how long has REV Group been in the RV industry, if you know?
It depends on which brand you dive into, but if you want to talk about REV Group as a whole, REV Group purchased the Fleetwood and American Coach brands in, I believe, 2009.
Oh, okay.
When the industry kind of took a downturn.
Yeah.
A firm acquired the Fleetwood and American Coach business in 2009, and then they've grown their portfolio over the past several years in the RV business.
Okay. And you represent, you said 3 brands, the Class A brands, so that's American Coach, Fleetwood and Holiday Rambler.
Yep.
And Fleetwood, they used to make Towables, but they no longer make Towables.
Yeah, Fleetwood was probably the largest RV manufacturer several years ago. Fleetwood Enterprises. But yeah, right now it's just Fleetwood only produces Class A motorhomes. So out of our headquarters in Decatur, Indiana.
Okay.
So out of those big 3 there, the American Coach, the Fleetwood, and the Holiday Rambler, what would you say are your standout RVs from each of those 3 divisions?
So I think our core bread and butter is our Fleetwood Discovery and the Bounder, right? I think those are 2 iconic brands that everybody kind of knows, especially the Bounder, that classic gas motorhome. Just celebrated 35 years of the Bounder. It was launched in 1986. We just celebrated 25 years of the Discovery. Was launched in 1996. So we've got a couple of really great iconic brands that our owners and love, and they continue to come back and get their second or third or fourth Fleetwood. And now we're hearing stories of owners or customers coming and buying a Fleetwood because their grandparents had a Fleetwood, right? Fleetwood is that iconic family brand to go out and make memories with, and we really love that. American Coach, our flagship brand, our luxury brand, the American Eagle, is probably the standout there, or definitely is. A great luxury coach, only comes in 45-foot lengths. We just launched a brand new floor plan at the Tampa RV show with a kitchen island, and the whole back third of the coach is a master suite. So it's for the full timer that wants the luxury house. So that's a great brand. And American Coach, we just celebrated 30 years. So we've got some really nice, long-standing brands. And Holiday Rambler, we've got some iconic brands for the Holiday Rambler brand. The Vacationer was a long-standing Holiday Rambler Class A gas. And that's our sister product to the Bounder. So you're going to see some similarities and some differences. But we've recently launched a couple of all-new Class A diesels on the Holiday Rambler line. The Armada is our flagship Holiday Rambler. And then one we're really proud of, the Holiday Rambler Nautica, this kind of mid-level Class A diesel on a raised rail chassis from Freightliner, custom chassis. Tremendous storage, and there's a couple here at the show that has been doing really, really well.
I was going to say, with that raised floor, you must get extra storage underneath for your basement.
Yep. So one of the best features of that is all the storage underneath, but then a couple of the floor plans have that flat floor throughout the coach, so there's no step up over the engine at the rear of the coach, which our customers really like. So, yeah, it's doing really well.
And you had mentioned that one of them now in a Class A with a kitchen island. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a kitchen island in a Class A before.
So we believe we're the only ones building it. We launched it a couple years ago in our Fleetwood Discovery product. We the Discovery LXE 36HQ and the Discovery 36Q. So the Discovery is one step below the Discovery LXE. We launched that kitchen island floor plan with our patent pending what we call the adaptable dinette. And it, if you haven't had a chance to see it, it's really cool. There might be one here at the show. The table actually kind of pivots and pushes away out of the way, and you can use it as like a breakfast bar or a workstation and look out this nice large window, because we're seeing more and more customers that are working on the road. Yes. But then when you need it, just a flip of a switch to unlock it, you pull it out and pivot it 90 degrees, and now you've got a traditional looking freestanding dinette that seats 4 people. Pushing that out of the way allows us to have that island, right? Okay. One of the hurdles with an island is when all those slides come in, right? You still need to be able to access your refrigerator and your bathroom or whatever on the road. So our engineers worked really hard and long and came up with this really great table that is exclusive to us. And now we're putting that in more and more because customers are liking it and wanting the island or that table, and we're starting to integrate that into other floor planes and other brands. So It's going over well.
And the Bounders, I always see those on the road, and it seems like you see some that may even be from the late 80s on the road still.
Yep.
Is that the case? Are there some?
Oh yeah, and I think that's one of the great things about Fleetwood. And the way that Fleetwood is always built is it's long-lasting, and we really do say that Fleetwood is for families and for memories, right? And you're not making those memories if you're not staying out on the road and keeping on going. So, yep.
Yeah, I think that's great to see the older ones. You see them out definitely on the road all the time.
I agree with Sean. I feel like I do see a lot of the older Bounders. I think that says a lot about it, that they last.
This show on TV that people may or may not have heard about that featured a Bounder doing some maybe not so legal stuff. But, that older Bounder from the 80s is so iconic, and we're pretty proud of that brand.
Right,
so.
Yeah. So go ahead, Ken.
Sorry. So knowing that you have RVs that are out there for a long time and a great customer feedback, a great customer base, what is some of the feedback that you get from your customers? Like what do they like and what do they want to see more of? And what does are trends constantly changing?
The trends do change, right? We have a team of designers, product designers and interior designers that work really, really well together. Our interior design team, Mindy Cox and Andrea Smeltzer, work really, really good together with our product managers to kind of listen to our customers. But one thing they really like to do is go to home shows or see what's trending in home design, right? Because it's an RV, but it does become your home on wheels and your home away from home, especially if you're a full-timer. Mm-hmm. So one thing they've, over the past few years, is really make our motorhomes feel residential. And that's what we're hearing a lot of feedback from not only our customers, but people that are just browsing at the big RV shows, and they may not be coming to buy, but they're coming to look. And I love being in the coaches and hearing that wow, and hearing them say, this feels like a house. And that's what we're going for, right? To give them that feeling of home away from home. It doesn't feel like you're in a box. It doesn't feel cooped up. It's not dark. And we've worked really hard at that touch, and it's proving good for us.
Now, I know that some, a couple of things. One, we've been waiting for the RV industry to slow down a little bit. It's been booming for like 4 years straight now, I think, and setting records every year. I think COVID kind of helped that as well. And but along with COVID, we had these supply chain issues. So with luxury coaches like the American Coach, for instance, is there a long wait if you were to order one? How's the supply chain affected you?
I mean, there is a backlog, right? There is going to be, depending on what floor plan or what options you want, there is going to be, there can be somewhat of a wait. Yeah. That American Coach product is built a bit different than the our core Holiday Rambler Fleetwood products, right? That American Coach is in its own facility. It's a smaller team that takes a little bit longer to do a task, right? It's still a production coach, but it's kind of starts to lean towards stall built, which are what some of the bigger bus companies do, right? Yeah. Supply chains, it's a challenge, I think, for everybody now. We try to be as nimble as we can and adapt as quickly as we can. One of the great things about having several manufacturing facilities and these 6 brands, sister brands that all work together, is and this bigger parent company has a little bit more buying power, right? So we're able to work with our sister companies and stuff to make sure each has the supplies they need. So
so each of the companies, even though they're separate, they still work together.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's interesting.
We work with our sister companies for sure.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe borrow ideas or pass along information to one another as far as feedback goes. That's great. Yeah, that's good that you guys actually do work together. And then what about, so something that you had mentioned that Sean and I were not aware of, that you guys here at the FMCA rally if somebody has a REV product and they want to talk to a representative or a tech, you guys have people available here that can talk with or even look at their RV for them.
Yeah, we have 2 RV service and repair centers is what we call them across the country. One is in our headquarters of Decatur, Indiana, and one is in Coburg, Oregon, where we acquired that when REV Group acquired the Monaco and Holiday Rambler brands. So we take at our owner rallies, we have several owner rallies and owners clubs that we support across the country. But at these FMCA conventions, we do send a small team to help our customers and service our customers' coaches in light stuff, right? We don't have all the equipment we would have in a shop, but if we're able to fix it and some of the minor stuff that while they're out on the road, we're happy to help support them. And we can get the parts they need because we have the warehouse and the facilities back home and get the parts they need that their coach was built with, right? So
nice.
It's a great asset that we're happy to provide to our customers, and we'll service REV brands, but if we can, right, our RV service and repair centers will do any make, any model, right?
Oh, interesting.
Will they?
So if you don't necessarily have to have a REV brand to come to our facilities, and if our guys have time, they'll try to help any RV customer here at the show.
Okay.
That's nice to hear.
And how, for people that are here at the show that have a REV brand coach, how do they find you guys here at the show?
So before the rallies, we let all of our clubs know and our owners know that we'll be here, and there's an online form they can fill out. But we are located here at FMCA right across from the registration office, the commercial office. There's a trailer. Our service trailer, our shop trailer is parked right across outside the seminar or the vendor building. Where they can walk up, and we'll do walk-ups if we have time and availability. We'll try to squeeze them in as if we can.
So you guys make announcements ahead of time, so people really
For
do
sure,
know that
yes.
they can try and get something, and then it helps you guys prep
Yes,
as well.
because of, like we talked about the supply chain issues,
Right.
we want to make sure we have the parts that our customers are going to need. So
Yeah.
we always encourage to register early.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well thought out. You mentioned that a lot of them are built in Indiana. Do you guys offer factory tours, or were you offering that factory tours?
We did offer factory tours, pre-COVID. Obviously, COVID kind of changed everything, and we had to stop our factory tours. They're slowly working. I think we'll get back there for sure. We do them kind of on a case-by-case basis as we can. Factory tours are important to us. We think we build our coaches a little bit different than the other manufacturers, and we're happy to show that off, whether it's our fully integrated bridged chassis on our core diesel product, our power lock system is what we call it, our interlocking floors, walls, and ceilings with extruded aluminum. We want to show that stuff off, right? Because you're not going to see that on a finished product. So we're happy to show that to our customers and show them our facilities and our team back home because we're pretty proud of that.
And then Lithium Power, we noticed that some of the American coaches, there is a Lithium Power upgrade that people can get, lithium batteries instead of the standard probably AGMs that would go in the American coach.
Yeah. So we do offer the lithium package upgrade. A great option. The Dragonfly lithium batteries are great. Obviously litithium is kind of the next thing, right? It's, with electric vehicles and all that. And we started looking into that, and our engineers and our product team are always trying to innovate and provide customers the next thing. And right about that time, customers were starting to ask about lithium and alternatives to AGM or the wet cell batteries of yesterday. So it kind of worked out, and we've got a great partner in the Dragonfly, and as we all know, lithium's right. It's cleaner power, charges quicker, holds its charge longer. There's so many benefits to it.
Yeah.
And on that luxury product, we're able to offer that option because it does come with a cost.
Yeah.
And what part of our sister company Midwest, they do build a that some people don't know, a Class B for us that we brand for American Coach, the American Patriot.
Oh, okay.
And as well as on the Midwest product, they've got a Freedom package. And part of that Freedom package is lithium batteries and more solar. And so it is the next thing, and we're happy to offer our customers, more options and help them out.
Yeah, I would imagine as a luxury coach owner, not that I would ever qualify in that category, but I would imagine that if I had a luxury coach, the less maintenance I would have to get out and do.
Yeah, definitely.
And that having those lithiums eliminates a lot of that battery maintenance that you have to do. Yeah, so that's
not
great.
only that, as it's becoming more and more difficult to get campsites, it's nice to have the option of being off grid and being able to, if you're traveling and you're like, oh, I can't get in that campground tonight, but we can get you in tomorrow. Yeah. Well, there's no problem for me to go a night without.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Our that American Coach customer on that's buying that 40 to 45 foot luxury coach, they're not the typical off the grid customer, right? But it does give them that option if they can't make it to the campsite or whatever. Plus just less maintenance, like Sean was saying.
Yeah, more flexibility.
So, and Don, sorry, Kenny. Don, in the other Class A brands, are they getting to be? This is a curveball question, actually. Are they getting to be? Can you still get them without all the technology, computer-operated panels and stuff like that? Can you get like a basic weekend camping Class A if you wanted to?
So, I would say on the Fleetwood and Holiday Rambler lines, the first step into those brands, some people ask us about our entry-level product.
Right.
Yeah.
I joke around and say we don't like the word entry-level because we don't think we build entry-level at all. The Fleetwood Flare and the Holiday Rambler Admiral, the sister products, that's our first step into the Class A's. They're MSRP on those can be over $100,000, and I don't think by any means that's entry level.
No, yeah.
They're still computerized a little bit, right?
Okay.
We have certain components and stuff that on our smaller floor plans, but for the most part, whether it's the gas Class A or the diesels, the gas motorhomes are controlled by precision circuits, multiplex system, and then our diesels have the Firefly integrations controlling those, and it's a great feature because for the most part you connect your mobile device or your smartphone, and you can work control most of the coach without maybe getting up, or you're outside on the patio or you're parking and you need to run your slide out, but you want to make sure you're clear of that tree or whatever. You can do most of that from your smartphone.
So there is integration with mobile.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't really offer, again, that entry level stripped down model because it's just not us.
Well, I think that makes it easier. I know I've heard a couple people here this week saying, I don't want to have to get up and go to a panel if I want to put my awning out or something where there used to be a button by the stairway that you could push.
Yep.
But if you could do it from your phone, I mean, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah, you can take that button everywhere with it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not fixed in one location, which I think that helps big time.
And we still do try to put, strategically place the buttons or even on our higher end product, a little Firefly panel. The Firefly panel in the bedroom controls the stuff in the bedroom, right? It can be customized for that area and that floor plan.
Yeah.
The Firefly panel in the living area is customized to that area, and then you do have the centralized Firefly panel with your app that can control the whole coach. So
more like a command center kind of thing.
command center. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you remember not even that long ago, you'd have that wall in the center of your coach that was just covered in switches and panels and thermostats and all this, and now it's all in that one kind of central command center Firefly panel.
I still have all the buttons and switches in mine.
We noticed on your website that you have a change of ownership plan. That's if somebody would to purchase one of your products and they go to sell it, they can change the ownership. What does that exactly mean, and what does that benefit?
So first off, it benefits us.
Okay.
But more importantly, it benefits our customers, right? We understand our customers aren't always just the customers that buy a new Fleetwood or a new Holiday Rambler. There are owners and customers out there that are loyal to our brands, but they might, that fits their lifestyle or their budget, or for whatever reason, they are buying used. So it's important for us to make sure they have a conduit to us, right? For whatever reasons, warranty, recall, several different reasons. We want them to know how to get a hold of us. But then it also lets our team know who now owns that coach, or that Sean no longer owns that bounder, right? So if we do have to send out, let's say, a recall, we're not going to send it to Sean. We're going to send it to Mary or whoever that is, right? That's important. But again, it comes back to us always wanting to take care of our customers and giving them a way to get a hold of us and being there for them. So the great thing, if you fill out that change of ownership, right, that you just bought a used Fleetwood, no matter how old, your information is now put into the system as the owner of that VIN, right? So when you do call in and you give us the VIN, we have all your info. We don't have to ask you for the info again. Now we have it.
So if I buy that 1986 Bounder or that 1996 Fleetwood Discovery, I could still do that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then we had a kind of a loyal listener of ours that he asked us to ask you about if you guys were would ever consider bringing back the Fleetwood Avion, I think it was called, or Avion, which is a towable. And Fleetwood, I don't think they do towables anymore. So can you maybe just talk about that a little bit and the sister company?
Yeah. Fleetwood does not build towables anymore. As I mentioned earlier, Fleetwood was a very large probably the largest RV manufacturer back in the prime of RVing, 80s and 90s, and they had several travel trailers and iconic travel trailers. But unfortunately, no, we do not build trailers anymore under the Fleetwood brand. The great thing is we have a sister company, Lance Campers, who build some really, really great travel trailers, right, out in California.
Yeah.
And truck campers, very iconic truck campers, the Lance brand truck campers. The great thing is, at least for me in my hometown, was Lance just announced they're gonna start a facility in Decatur, my hometown, to build some travel trailers to help them on the east coast, right, that eastern half of the United States, because they are out in California.
Yeah.
So that's the travel trailer brand for REV Group is Lance Campers.
Okay.
So they built a great product, and there's just why mess with that, right?
Yeah.
So
I think the insulation in the Lance travel trailers is probably some of the best insulation out of any other travel trailer.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what about the warranties that come with all the REV products? Does each individual have their own? Does Fleetwood have their own, and so on, and American Coach, or is it under all of REV?
They're each controlled by the manufacturer, right?
Okay.
Renegade's warranty falls under Renegade. Lance's controls their warranty. Our warranty for the Class A products is controlled by us. The Fleetwood and Holiday Rambler line is a 1-year limited warranty. The American Coach, because it is a luxury product, we've recently changed that to a 2-year warranty.
Oh, that's great.
One thing that a lot of shoppers and buyers out there don't know and might not know yet is all of our products come with a REV Assist, our roadside assistance. That's powered by Safe Ride. Ed, Thor, and the Safe Ride team have been great partners of ours. So all Fleetwood and Holiday Rambler products come with a 1-year free roadside assistance, and then you can renew it if you want for a discounted rate.
Okay.
American Coach comes with 3 years roadside assistance. So that's complimentary with your coach, which is a great benefit to our customers when they're out on the road and if they need that.
And then with that, you have the 2 service centers. Are most RV dealerships capable of working on these coaches, or do you guys have a list on your website where people can find their nearest service center to go get some work done if they have a recall or something like that?
You can find that information on our websites where the the RV service and repair locations are. We have a website. We kind of consider that service and repair center. I'm in marketing. That's kind of a fourth brand for us in marketing, right? We promote it separately.
Yeah.
RevRVServiceandRepair.com, a little plug there. You can see everything that we can work on. You can register for service, try to schedule an appointment, and someone will get a hold of you and make sure you have the parts and stuff you need. But yeah, your dealer should always be able to work on your coach, whether it's a warranty issue or not.
Okay.
The Fleetwood dealer network should be able to help you out.
Okay.
So,
and how many approximately? I know you probably don't know the exact number, but for each of those brands, how many dealers are there across the country?
So, again, I don't know the exact number.
Several.
I would say there's we have several dealerships that have multiple locations. So across our 3 brands, I believe there's well over 150 dealerships that we work with, but some of those have several locations across the country. So it's in the hundreds.
Yeah. So if
depending
people
on the brand.
find one on the Fleetwood website that they want to go see, they could probably, chances are there's going to be one near them that they can go look at.
Yeah, there's probably going to be one near them, hopefully with not too far of a drive. But yeah, you can, on all 3 of our websites, we have a dealer locator tool where you can just punch in your city and state or your zip code and it'll find your closest dealer.
Okay.
So,
and for somebody shopping for like a new RV, can they go to like rev.com and take a look at at everybody, or should they be going to the individual websites?
They can certainly start at revgroup.com.
Okay.
And on that website, it breaks it down to the different divisions that fall under REV. REV does have a fire and emergency division that builds fire trucks and ambulances. There's a bus division, commercial division that builds buses. There's a specialty division. It's kind of that outlier. They build street sweepers and capacity, the dock trucks that are moving the crates around docks and stuff that come in on the ships. So REV's got a very kind of diverse portfolio of brands and industries. So on that, you can look up the recreation group, which would link out to all of our websites. But they can certainly, go to landscamper.com or fleetwoodrv.com or whatever.
So REV has expertise across many industries
Yes.
then that probably feed into the recreation group at some point.
Yeah, and that's, kind of the benefit, one of the benefits of having such a diverse portfolio and a big parent company is that they can help us out with the supplier and buying power or whatever, right? And we have other expertise to go to if we need them.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. Very cool. So I believe that's all of our questions, unless there's something that we might have missed or that you would like to add to the conversation before we let you go.
I just welcome anybody here that's here at the convention here in Tucson to check out our motorhomes with our dealer partners. If you don't mind me calling them out.
No, please.
Right ahead.
Please.
La Mesa RV has some great Fleetwood product on display. I believe they're carrying the Renegade brand. Here also, that doesn't fall under my umbrella, but they're carrying that, as well as the Midwest Automotive Designs Class Bs. Everybody knows Class Bs are hot right now.
Yeah, very.
National Indoor RV is here with our American Coach line.
Oh.
And then RV Country has our Holiday Rambler line here. So we got some really great product, quite a few here. Stop by and check them out.
Awesome.
Yeah. Everybody go check them out if you're here at the convention, and if you see Don at the show, let him know that you've checked it out and what you like and what you don't like about him.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's it for this episode, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes with Henderson's Line-Up. So stay tuned to the Facebook page so you can check that out.
Hey, everybody. We're back at the FMCA rally for day number 3. We're joined by Henderson Line-Up, and joining us today with Henderson Line-Up is Robert. Robert, can you kind of introduce yourself and tell us your role at Henderson Line-Up?
Yeah, my mom and dad started the business in 1961. It was actually connected to our house, the shop was, and so I literally grew up in the business. My mom, I say that she fed me with a brake spoon when I grew up. And then I started out sweeping the floors and cleaning tools for my father. And anyway, I'm very grateful for my folks who wanted to give us boys. There was actually I come from a family of 9, 5 boys and 4 girls, so I was like a number 6 in the mix there. So I kind of got lost in the middle, but I was the only one that wound up really staying involved with my dad running the business. I have a younger brother, John, who I call the heart of Henderson's. He runs our outside sales super steer division. And now my son, Tommy, who was an engineer for Cummins, I wanted him to get some engineering experience, and he worked for Cummins as a mechanical engineer, application engineer specifically, which is a great role for him to learn to test and develop products. We're spending a lot of time on R&D right now, but it's kind of how we got started. My wife, Barbara's been involved in the business. We've been married for going on 21 years, and our grandson's here helping today at this show. So very much a family business, and we like to treat all of our team like family as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like a real family business.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
And were you guys always, since the 1960s, working on RVs, or?
No, we have not been. When my dad first had the shop, he had a little bit bigger shop than we wound up migrating to after he sold that property. We wound up moving around to several different locations. It wasn't until the 80s that we got into a shop, early 80s, that we could get a bigger motorhome in. And that's when we found there was a tremendous need in the recreational vehicle industry. We'd always done hot rods. People would bring like their 64 Caddy in. We'd chop the coils on it, and we would build sway bars to fit it and make shocks work on it and all that. So we were known for taking big boats and make them handle good. So we got into RV and it was like, whoa, man, this is a huge problem. What I knew from the automotive side wasn't cutting it on the RV side. The components weren't heavy enough. They were failing. And so I had to kind of like relearn everything. And I looked for the best people I could find at that time. And that was a company called IPD out of Portland. They had actually taken an old P32 motorhome, and they had it all decked out and everything. And they ran an Alcan rally up to Canada, Alaska. Speeds over 90 miles an hour on those gravel roads.
Really?
It was a pretty cool thing. They called it Rocky. It was a Rockwood motorhome, and it was a really cool thing. Well, we learned a lot from them, and another guy named Eric Davis, who had a company called Eric's RV up in Sequim, Washington. They were kind of at the forefront of the industry at that time. I learned a lot from them. And out of that, Eric encouraged me to build our first product, which is Super Steer bell crank for the Class A Chevy. And I don't know how many thousands and thousands of those we sell. We still sell over 1,000 of those a year for the P chassis motorhome, which don't see a lot of them at this rally, but they're out there. There are people still fixing them up, and we still supply a huge amount of parts for those as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know for especially the Class A gas, people buy them and then they get them home and then they take them on their first trip and they realize like almost immediately that it's almost a white knuckle type of driving experience. And I'm curious if you have an opinion of why that is. Like, it seems to be everybody has that same experience. I wonder why is it so it feels unstable? Why can't it be improved right from maybe factory or manufacturer standpoint?
That's a great question. I get that a lot of time. Why don't the manufacturers take care of this? Well, it's really interesting. I look at a lot of coaches. I talk to a lot of people, and I'm out on the road. I'll see a motorhome, and I know what it drives like because we spent a lot of time behind the wheel. We do a thing called the Road Performance Assessment. Well, I'll touch on that a little bit here because we're really famous for that. And I'll say, how's your coach drive? Oh, it drives great. It drives fine. I'm thinking, I wouldn't even want to be near him on the road because I know what that thing is. So, yeah. So, anyway, I'll talk about the RPA when you guys want me to because that is kind of the essence of what we had to do when we entered this industry because it was so different.
So you guys started the Super Steer. You were actually manufacturing those products.
1990.
Yeah, you designed and manufactured those products?
We actually had some help on that first part. We had a guy that helped us do it, and he was making them all by hand manually, and we weren't getting consistent quality. To me, quality was really, really important, and I'd be rejecting 5 out of 25, and that was just unacceptable. And I had some agreements with him, and it wasn't holding up his side of the bargain. So another friend helped us get it into a CNC, and the folks up at IPD helped us find the right folks for doing machine work and die casting and all the rest of that. And we've just been blessed to have some really good partners because we do the assembly work. We don't do the hard manufacturing. Design work and assembly work is what we do because I didn't want to be in the manufacturing business. I wanted to be in the fixing, steering, suspension business because when you spend millions of dollars on CNC stuff, you pretty much have to keep it busy.
Yeah. That was going to be my question was how do you manufacture and do all the other work? So that's
just having great relationships with people like Roadmaster. They're one of the ones that we have. They're one of our major, if not the biggest vendor that we have manufacturing done by them because we know we can have them build things to our specs, which is really important to us. So we pick the materials, we can pick the specs that we want.
Okay. So then if somebody buys a Class A, they're unhappy with it, they can bring it to you guys, and then do you kind of assess and let them know what the options are of how far they want to take it? Do they say, hey, I want this to drive? I don't know. Do they come in and say, I want this to drive like my Lincoln?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm going to come back to the road performance assessment because when we first started doing this, we would do one job one day, turn out great. The next day we would do the same job, same chassis, different box. different results. And we hated unmet expectations. That's the last thing we wanted was unmet expectations. We'd rather under-promise and over-deliver any day. And so we had to find out what the common denominator of a good handling motorhome was. So we developed a process called the Road Performance Assessment. In that, we put it through a specific diagnostic process, which includes driving it over a variety of road conditions, usually somewhere around 15 miles at our shop up in Oregon. And we put it through a series of tests that rate the steering, handling, suspension, and braking. And we rate all those on a scale of 1 to 10. We come back and we check the weight distribution. We measure the corner weights. We look at the balance, front to rear, side to side. And then at that point in time, we move. It's 3 phases. The first is the discovery phase. The second phase is the diagnostic phase. And at that point, that's when we get underneath there and we say, see this component here? You know what you're experiencing out here on the road, that's what's causing it. And so we pointed out, we very much believe in show and tell. We want the customer to be involved in the whole process. My philosophy, if you educate your customer right, help him make the right decision, he can make a good buying decision. And so it's like having a homeowner's assessment done. When we move to that final phase, the delivery phase, that's where we do what the customers authorize us to do. We keep the customer in control. You can pick and choose as little or as much as you want to do. You're in the driver's seat. You tell us what you want, how nice you want it to be, but you're not just throwing parts at it. Because we hear that in our industry. Throw some shocks on it. Throw some sway bars on it. I don't want anybody throwing anything at my motor. I want to know why I'm doing it, what can I expect from it, and can you show me before and after so I know, you know. And so we do that. When we get done doing it, we'll take it back over the same road, usually the same speeds or higher speeds. We do what we call a quick lane change. In the event, I ask people, in the event of an emergency, would you like to know how this vehicle is going to respond?
Yeah.
It's a life or death thing, and you got to make a choice. And you would you like to know? Most people say, sure, you know, and they have no idea what their coach is going to do in emergency, like an emergency lane change. So that's one of the things that we do. And so after we're happy with it, we'll let the customer drive it because it's his money. He invested in it. We want him to feel the difference before we let him go down the road with it.
And is that road performance assessment, I guess that's just years of data and experience that help you identify where the corrections need to be made.
That's right. And now with my son Tommy coming back with his experience he gained at Cummins, because one of his jobs was to test the engine vibration, the motor mounts and that. So he had to learn how to use instrumentation to record data. So right now you're never going to get away from seat of the pants. It's always going to be really important, if not the king, but we want to be able to have data to back up what we're feeling. And so learning to interpret that data and record it, because every coach is different. Every driver is different. The problem was with motorhomes, to find that common denominator, we had to look at aerodynamics, we had to look at overhang, side overhang, we had to look at rear axle overhang, we had to look at where did they put the generator, for instance, where did they put the slide outs. We had to look at all of those factors and try to come up with, okay, what's it going to take to get this coach to drive right? Because I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm pretty blown away how you can drive 2 coaches that are pretty similar. And one will drive a lot different. There are just so many systems, so many things coming together on an RV is that it puts it it's a lot tougher than just doing car work. But we love a challenge, and so it's been a good challenge for us.
So is a lot of that from weight? Like if the generator's on the rear left and if somebody else is putting it?
Where's the most empty space underneath the coach? Usually behind the rear wheels. Well, guess what? You know, I just talked to a guy yesterday. He's got a 34-foot Freightliner diesel, and he's put a lot of our components and stuff on it. He says, I'm still having problems. And let me guess. When a truck comes by you, it wants to move over into the next lane. Yeah, that's it. Well, I got him to bring his numbers to me, and we know what numbers work good. The weight distribution, and he was several hundred pounds below, probably about 400 pounds below our minimum, and our minimum is 50% on a diesel pusher, whatever that rear axle's got on it, and he was below that, and on a shorter wheelbase, I would really have it up closer to 50, 55. But guess what? The overhang with the diesel pusher back there, it's hard to achieve that. In some cases, we've had to add as much as 1,000 pounds of steel up under the front to hold that front end down, so it's not like driving a teeter-totter down the road. Because if it's light on the front, it's going to cause you issues. It's going to blow around the wind, track the ruts, and you're going to be as nervous as a pregnant fox in a forest fire, as one of my friends used to say.
That's funny. And then I would imagine there's some items that are probably what I would consider maybe critical components, and then other items that maybe just improve comfort. Is that something that somebody can talk to you about and learn what's critical, what's the most important parts that they need to address?
That's a great question because, some people, they're more interested in silky, smooth, soft ride than they are handling. But I found on the average, most people will sacrifice a little bit of the marshmallow ride for being able to maintain better control over these motorhomes. And that's always the challenge. Where do we find that fine line where best ride and best handling cross? And that's the elusive mark that we're always trying to achieve that.
And so it's like, I think what I'm hearing you say is it can be unique for every coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And driver. So we try to treat the customer who comes in as an individual and his coach or her coach as an individual as well.
And you do all this work up in your shop in
Grants
Oregon?
Pass, Oregon. We have taught the class. It's been several years now since we did one. We've just been so swamped with the China virus and everything going on. It's been hard to get back into having a school because we've been so busy. But our passion is to educate. We have a Motorhome Steering and Suspension Institute, which we've been teaching classes for the last 20 years. So we totally believe in education. And the new book, Living Life 1 Mile at a Time, that we authored, it's like there's 30 years of experience in there. And my dad had a definition of experience. He said experience is something that happens to you wish happened to somebody else.
I like that saying too. I'm learning a lot of good quotes this weekend.
And so, the Super Steer line has expanded over the years. Do you have a lot of? How many different products do you guys have now?
Oh, God, I've lost count of how many SKUs we have now. It's probably, of our own part numbers, various things, probably somewhere between 80 and 100, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Wow.
There's a lot of different things that we have. And then we distribute the Roadmaster product line. We distribute Safety Plus, steering controls. We distribute the Sumo Spring, Super Spring product line. Okay. And what else do we distribute? There's other things that we distribute, Bilstein shocks as well, Coney shocks. So we do a lot of different, because, hey, we're not trying to knock anybody else's product off.
Right.
If there's a good product now and it's doing a great job, we're not going to try to copy that.
Okay.
We want to find the places, the niches, and our name's Super Steer. The reason we chose that, because we found that steering complaints is one of the biggest complaints that we hear from people, is the steering feels weird, steering feels loose, I'm overcorrecting, I'm wandering. It's one of the biggest complaints that people have.
Okay. And you had mentioned that that the person that you were talking to was actually in a diesel pusher. For some reason, I was under the impression that this was just a Class 8 gas issue, not... So you have...
Oh, no.
We've
been doing
diesels
diesels
too.
for a long time.
Oh,
yeah, we do a lot of diesel work, lots of Freightliners are in there practically every day. We're doing something on the Freightliner chassis. We're also Power Glide. We do Spartan. We're a Spartan Warranty Center as well.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
So we do a lot on the diesels. Granted, they don't have as many issues as the gas ones typically do, but diesels, definitely some of them have their own unique handling and steering challenges as well. A lot of the Walmart wobble you get on a diesel pusher, where the airbags are loading and unloading, pulling in and out of driveways. We have what we call our motion control units to regulate the airflow in and out of the airbags. Definitely help on the stability.
Can you tell me, this is an ignorance question on my part, a rear track bar? What is that? What is it and what does it do?
A rear track bar is the same as a Panhard bar, which is a Frenchman invented it. People call it Panhard, but it's actually French. It was his name, Panhard.
Okay.
And so what it does basically is holds the rear stable. And they've had track bars on the front for years. Yeah. And they do have them as original equipment since about 2004, I believe, on the Ford F-53. Eric Davis at Squim, he actually came up with that first track bar, and Roadmaster carries it. It's they call it the True Track front track bar, and they had never did anything. The rear was my brother John discovered. We saw it on the back of a P chassis where the spring shackle was actually the hanger, and that was the shackle was actually touching the side compartment, moving about 1/8 of an inch, and so we were fighting that challenge with that coach. They made 2 major changes in it once. They went to a double piston Saginaw steering gear, which is a real funky, finicky steering gear. They're very fickle. And so it was creating steering issues. And at the same time, they went from a 10-leaf leaf spring pack to a 4-leaf taper pack. Okay. And when they did that, we were having all these handling issues. The taper springs rise softer, but since they're tapered, they're thinner out near the eye, so you get more body roll and more sway out of it.
Okay.
So John figured that out, and so we built the rear track bar, and immediately we knew this was making a significant difference. You go, wow, how come something on the back makes it steer better?
Yeah.
It's because if you think about it, if you back your car up and you move that steering wheel just a tiny little bit, what's the car going to do? It's going to go off one direction or the other, right?
Right.
Well, think about it. If that rear axle deflects in the bushings or in the springs and it causes that rear axle alignment to change a little bit, what's it going to do? It's going to track off one way or the other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And I guess that's kind of, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe that's accentuated by the length of the RV at all?
Actually, we find that if we can put a track bar on anything, for instance, like my brother had my old 55 Chevy and he had it nice and low and the tires were real close on a 55. So he put a panhard bar, track bar, we put one of our bars on it, and it no longer touched the paint. It held that rear end and the steering feels better. So a rear track bar will help any wheelbase that has any kind of deflection in that rear axle.
Okay.
But
that makes
the amount
sense.
of overhang does affect it, though. If you have that rear axle well forward and you have 10 feet of overhang like some of these do, and what that does is that gives, when that wind hits the back of that motorhome, when a truck or something passes, it's got a lot more leverage working against that rear axle. Okay. So that's where we get the term tail wags the dog from.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot cheaper for them to extend the back of the motorhome than it is for them to cut the drive line, extend the brake lines, and all the rest of that.
Yeah.
So that's naturally what they're going to go to. And the bodybuilders, they can have as much as 75% of the wheelbase as overhang.
Really?
So that means you've got almost as much behind the rear wheels as you do in front.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we see, and that's why we do the RPA. So we measure all those ratios at first, because we know if the numbers aren't right, we can help them, but we're not going to be able to achieve as much if it had a better weight distribution and overhang ratio. So we try to take away all those surprises on the front side, again, because we hated the unmet expectations.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
So somebody coming up to your shop in Oregon and they want to have some work done, is it best for them to come to you? I guess contact you first, just don't show up. But when they do arrive, do they typically drop the RV off to you and you hold on to it, they come back and get it?
No, that's a great question. One of the things that I am totally amazed at, how many shops never take the customer with them when they do the initial test drive. In the RPA, we insist that the customers are with us. We want them right beside us. If he drives or she drives, we like both of them there so we can talk to them, so we can get the feedback from the wife and the husband. Because a lot of times there's a difference in communication there, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you guys don't know anything about that.
Don't know anything about that.
So, anyway, what we have here, gentlemen, is a failure to communicate. What is that movie? And so that's really important. It's a great question, because if you don't have that person with you, you might fix what you felt was a complaint. You felt it, but it wasn't what they brought it in for. And so we want to make the invisible visible. So we want to go through. If a person, I'm amazed at what are you bringing your coach? Well, I just want to get it lined up. Well, we're going to recommend we do the road performance assessment first. We find out it's swaying, it's wandering, it's got a vibration, it's got something. Customers, that's not their world. They live in a different world.
Yeah.
And while I want them to do their best. And I tell them, if you have a problem going on in your motorhome, do your best to know exactly what speed causes it. Is it wind? Is it a truck? Is it a certain kind of pavement? Is it a certain kind of bump? That helps us on our diagnostic process to zero in on what their biggest complaint is and helps us address it.
So you mentioned that you do this work in your shop up there in Oregon. Are there other shops around the country that you guys have kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better term, certified to be able to do this work as well?
Yeah, we do have a certification process, and that's something we really need to work more to get a continuing ed credit, because some of them have been 20 years ago since they've been through our school. And I know there's a lot of things to learn. So we really encourage people to keep in contact with us. And it's something that we really need to get back into now. We've just been so incredibly busy. And I know my son feels the same way. We need to continually be an educational thing. That's why we come to these rallies, because we find that the customer, he's the one that's made the big investment. I'll ask people when I'm doing seminars, so how many people you paid more for your motorhome, your first house? And they go, I'll go second, third, and up to fourth houses. So it was a big investment.
Oh, yeah, huge.
And so they learn a lot going to these seminars and rallies, and so I learn a lot from them too as well. That's why we're here. I can compress a learning. I can come to one of these and I can compress like 6 months worth of learning time in our shop only here, because I get to see so many people, get underneath so many vehicles, and hear so many different stories. And that's why I'm glad you guys are here at this, because we love coming to these things, so we learn so much.
Yeah, we're learning a lot.
We're learning a lot this week. Yeah, it's been a good event for us.
So you do, I mean, we've talked a lot about the Class A's. Do you also do work on, is there anything in your experience or products that help towables or Class B's, for instance?
Absolutely. Yeah, we work on Class anything from a pickup to what we're working on, a lot of the medium duties trucks and stuff too as well.
Oh, okay.
And the Super Cs, we work on the Class B vans and a lot of the van conversions. We've got experience on all those different vehicles, and we bought a Sprinter, a new Mercedes Sprinter. It's a Navion, 25 foot, and we're doing R&D on it. We testing a heat treated rear sway bar for it. Drove it to Florida and back. The mounts and everything are holding up good, and we're testing a whole bunch of different shock absorbers and recording data on that. We're doing leaf spring testing. We built a spring rate tester for leaf springs, so we can test the spring rate on leaf springs now, as well as coil springs. We do our own coil springs for the Chevy Class A motorhome. But yeah, it's really important to try to find that, especially ride quality with the roads being as torn up as they are. Now it's a whole thing that we really have to work hard to address. And so I recommend the liquid springs if people want the ultimate ride quality, for instance, on a Ford. But so we're trying to find those gaps that help people based on what their budget needs are and how much they want to invest in it, so we can get the best of, for different folks with different issues.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are really passionate about improving the driving experience, not only the living experience in an RV, but the driving experience, which a lot of people don't think about when they're buying an RV. They're thinking about the creature comforts inside. They're not thinking about how it's going to ride down the road.
Right. Yeah, our mission statement is safer and happier driving for more people. That's our mission motto, is what we do. And I had a friend of mine that was a really, really good stock car driver, and I said, "What was your secret?" He says his mother beat him with a steering wheel when he was a kid. So maybe that's what happened to me too. The steering is really important, because my cousin was had ran a professional kart racing school, and he had a saying in kart racing. He said, "Whoever steers the least wins," and I believe that statement. I talk about it in our book, "That Living Life 1 Mile at a Time." I go into that a lot. So whoever steers the least wins in an RV also.
Okay. And talking about the book, where can people find this book?
It's going to be on Amazon. The digital version should be out here shortly. The printed one, we've been a bit frustrated with that, because we've been ready for it, but we've been waiting months for the printer, and he's backed up because of reasons I don't want to talk about, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Supply chain issues.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're really looking forward to getting that out, because we go into a lot of detail on a lot of different stuff. Some of the just practical stuff.
Yeah.
Should I buy a Class A? Should I buy a Class B? What's the pros and cons of each? Speaking of towables, we do a lot of work on trailer suspensions as well. We do the Roadmaster slipper springs. We do the MoreRide IS. We're the only company authorized in the United States to do the independent suspensions for them, other than at their factory.
Okay.
So we get a lot of experience setting the trailer up. We do trailer alignment as well. We use the computerized equipment, so we get things down to the nth degree. Really get them dialed in good to where they're cutting the air nice and clean and true. And
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
I didn't either. Trailer alignment?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because that trailer is not towing crate straight. If the thrust angle's off on the axles, it's going to cut the air dirty. You're going to see more of it going down the road on one side than the other. And toe-in is so critical. Toe-in is off 1/8 of an inch. That's the distance from between the front tires. Toe-in is when they're closer together at the front. Toe-out is when they're towed out more. That's so critical that 1/8 of an inch toe-in is equal to 28 feet of side scrub per mile.
Really?
Wow.
So I want to talk about fuel mileage. That's the thing that causes more rolling resistance than anything is incorrect toe-in. And if it's thrust angle's off and you're not cutting the air clean, it's going to create more aerodynamic drag as well.
You know, I feel like we could sit and talk to you for hours. There's so much interesting stuff. I hope we can get you back at some point on a longer version of our podcast to really go into more details about this.
Sure, maybe when the book comes out, we can talk to
that'd
some
be great.
yeah.
We'll have to keep in touch with you.
Yeah. And so here at the show, where can people find you to talk to you?
We're right here in this
In the exhibitor
first
hall?
row by the exhibitor hall by the FMCA, right down by the FMCA exhibits down there.
Okay.
They have 2 booths there. I forget what their numbers are. I should have got that before I came here, but
That's okay, as long as they can find you in the
us.
exhibitor hall.
Yeah.
And you guys have some of your products there as well? Or?
Yeah, we have some of our products there. And we have a video running that shows the before and after on an F53. We did a test. We were in the last printed publication of Motorhome Magazine before they went digital.
Oh, wow.
We did a Canyon Star, I believe it was a Bay Star or Canyon Star. I get those two mixed up all the time. Newmar Ford chassis
Newmar.
before and after. It's pretty incredible, the before and after difference. We showed the side by side, the difference in what it does. If you guys get a chance, you should come in and take a look at that video.
yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And if people aren't at the show, but they want to learn more about what you do, what's the best way for them to find out what you do, how to get scheduled for an appointment, all that stuff?
Okay, our home company is Henderson's Line-Up, so hendersonslineup.com. That's our service center, and you can toggle back and forth between that and our outside sales website, which is supersteerparts.com.
Okay.
Supersteerparts.com. My brother John does an awesome job over there running that division, and our service center is my son Tommy kind of bounces back and forth between each one of them. We're in the middle of a bunch of R&D projects, but he'll help out wherever he's needed as well.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. All right.
Great. Yeah, it was great. Like I said, I think we could go on for another 2 hours talking about this stuff, but really awesome for you to take time out and come and chat with us. And we really, really appreciate just the 30 minutes of knowledge you've given us and hopefully everybody out there listening as well.
Well, we appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for putting this podcast together. We're glad to be a part of it. Look forward to seeing what we can do to help you guys grow in the future.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
And thanks, everybody. And we'll be back tomorrow with 2 more episodes.
We really want to thank Don and Robert for their time. One thing you can't see or hear from these interviews is just how busy these guests are at the show. And for them to walk away from their booth or showroom to come talk to us means a lot. We hope you enjoyed hearing the history of both these companies. And even though they are on 2 different sides of the RV industry, I think it's clear what makes them great is the attention they offer to their customers. To learn more about the REV Group, visit them at revgroup.com. And to learn more about Henderson's Line-Up, visit them at hendersonslineup.com. We have links down in our show notes to take you to each of their websites. We want to thank our sponsors, Battleborn Batteries and Wholesale Warranties. We would also like to remind you that if you go to our website, beyondthewheelpodcast.com, you can enter to win a Battleborn 12-volt, 100-amp-hour lithium battery. The winner will be chosen on June 13th and will be announced on June 23rd for our 100th episode. Good luck all and safe travels.